Today, more and more scientists, politicians, astronauts, as well as the Pentagon, the US Navy and National Intelligence acknowledge the existence of UFOs and extraterrestrials. UFO sightings are increasing, and the number of crop circles too. Meanwhile, the existence of close to 5,000 exoplanets has already been confirmed, and more are being discovered each year. What does all this mean? What if all these manifestations are intended to prepare humanity for a peaceful and official contact with extraterrestrial civilizations? Could these extraterrestrials be the Elohim we have been waiting for so long? Would they share their advanced science? And if so, how should we engage with them? The answer is to build an embassy for them, to officially and peacefully welcome them. We are ready. A significant part of the funds to build the third temple are already raised and available. Our organisation is ready to begin construction. It remains only to find the host country to build it in, and the selection process has already begun. How about Israel, as requested by the Elohim? The selected country will become the spiritual and scientific centre of the whole planet for millennia to come. Since this is a non-profit project, the host country will reap most of its financial, scientific and economic benefits. We are looking for a fully independent country that will grant visiting extraterrestrials full diplomatic immunity. The host country must therefore provide the necessary authorizations to build the third temple on sovereign land. The project will be conducted in 5 stages. Stage 1, selection of the host country. Stage 2, construction of a half-scale embassy model to attract tourism. Stage 3, construction of the embassy itself. Stage 4, creation of a Scientopolis, a research and educational centre where the world's top scientists will work to free and serve humanity. Stage 5, official contact with the Elohim. This third temple, located within a futuristic, scientific and tourism-oriented complex, will be a testament to the evolution of our civilization as it reaches for the stars. Israel would become the most important destination of all time. It would attract world leaders, entertainment celebrities, scientists, researchers, visionary entrepreneurs, tourists, and a wide assortment of retailers hoping to profit from the surging economy of the embassy area. Jerusalem, the new capital of earth, will be a destination for visitors of all ages, seeking to be healed, advised, or instructed. It will be an incredible drawing card with the potential to attract millions of visitors per year and billions of dollars in income. After a first contact with the Elohim, the tourism value would be incalculable. Here are some of the basic requirements for the construction of the third temple. The site will be large enough for the temple to be built in the middle of a park. The third temple must be at least 1,000 meters from all surrounding walls. The third temple must be in a neutral territory that is designated by the host country and recognized by all other nations. The approximate time frame will be 2019 to 2022 Diplomatic Initiative. Achieve adoption of the Protocol on Diplomatic Relations with an Extraterrestrial Civilization, the Elohim. Organize an international conference for the purpose of discussing the optional protocol concerning embassies for extraterrestrials. 2022 to 2025 Site Location Analysis. Identify suitable sites for the Third Temple project. 2025 to 2027 Site Acquisition. The preferred site will be identified, acquired and transferred to the International Rylan Movement. An agreement will be reached about major off-site infrastructure. 2027 to 2030 Planning and Implementation. Master planning, architectural and engineering design, approvals, contracts and commissioning will be completed. The third temple complex will be constructed, including a model of it that will be open to the public. After 2030, the third temple will operate in caretaker mode, awaiting the arrival of the Elohim delegation. Do you want Israel to host the most important event in human history? Be part of it. Please contact us.
Hello, welcome everyone to this very, very important conference. Important for the whole of humanity, but especially for the Jewish people. The title of today's conference is The Plan of the Third Temple Finally Revealed by the Real Jews. My name is Sharon Shanti. I'm originally from Israel, and it's a great, great honor for me to be your host and moderator for today's event. So we have a few very, very special guests today. Our first guest is Leon Ariel Malul, Raelian Chief Rabbi and spokesperson for the Mashiach Rael, who will present to us the Third Temple project more from a philosophical aspect. I will do a short introduction in Hebrew as well. ברוכים הבאים. ברוכים הבאים לכנס מאוד חשוב עבור האנושות כולה. אבל במיוחד עבור העם היהודי. כותרת האירוע היום, התוכנית לבניית בית המקדש השלישי סוף סוף נחשפת על ידי היהודים האמיתיים. שמי שרון שנתי, אני במקור מישראל, זה כבוד גדול עבורי להיות המערכת שלכם היום. אז יש לנו כמה אורחים מאוד מאוד מיוחדים היום. האורח הראשון הוא ליאון אריאל מלול, רב ראלי ראשי ודובר של המשיח ראל, שיציג בפנינו את פרויקט בית המקדש השלישי, יותר מהפן הפילוסופי. So, welcome again. I'm very, very happy to be with you today. Please enjoy the conference. Leon, please go ahead.
Shalom. After giving lectures for over 35 years in different countries, and living 18 years in Israel to bring the message from the Mashiach Rael given by the Elohim on December 13, 1973. I'm addressing to you today because time is running short for the survival of the State of Israel. As it was mentioned recently by the ex-Prime Minister Ehud Barak in May 2022, the survival of the State of Israel will not last over 8 years. Israel is now on its 74th year of existence. So the people of Israel, the State of Israel, have only 6 years to accept or to refuse the building of the third temple, otherwise Israel will cease to exist. I will repeat again, Israel will cease to exist, as its survival only is based on the accepting the Mashiach and helping build the third temple to welcome our creators from space, the Elohim. I have given lectures, as I mentioned, and bringing many citations from the Tanakh and other Hebrew scripts, where it's proven clearly the Elohim are not a single God, but an extraterrestrial civilization who have created us over 25,000 years ago with mastering of genetic manipulations of DNA. I will bring only 4 citations because now, if you understand Hebrew, it's going to be your responsibility. Your responsibility will be to help the State of Israel, his survival or his end. And allow me to say that the rabbis that will listen to this have the full responsibility of the survival of the State of Israel or the end of the State of Israel. I'm going to mention a couple of citations. First of all, the one with Zechariah 5, 1, 2, and 3. וישוב ואשא עיני ואראה והנה מגילה עפה. ויאמר אלי ואשוב ואשא עיני ואראה והנה מגילה עפה. מה אתה רואה? אני רואה מגילה עפה ארכה 20 באמה ו14 באמה. Translating it in English is, I lift up my eyes and looked. It was a flying scroll. It says to me, what do you see? I say, I see a scroll flying. Its length is 20 cubits and its height is 10 cubits. The cubits was an Hebrew measurement used in ancient times and corresponding to 63.56 centimeters. So the scroll that Zechariah was looking at, and in Hebrew it's calling Megillah. Megillah means Galil, it means a cylinder, was 12 meters 71 long and 6 meters 36 wide. According to you, in our recent times, what is a flying scroll or a cylinder? 12 meters 71 long by 6 meters 36 wide. Unfortunately, our ancestors were primitive and could not understand that everything that was coming from the skies was from an extraterrestrial civilization and everything was divine for them. Another important citation from Shemuel 4:8. Oy lanu, mi yatzilenu miyad ha'elohim hadirim, ha'elu elahem, ha'elohim hamakim. Every time is mentioned Elohim, which is a plural, it's another plural after that. Elohim hadirim, the powerful Elohim, in plural, both of them. And Elohim hadirim, ha'elu elahem. Here they are. It's a plural again, mentioning the ones who brought all the makot to the Egyptian, all the plagues to the Egyptian people, which is, they were the ones that lead us out of Egypt. The Elohim have been helping their children of Israel as their direct descendants, because we are the direct descendants from the children of Elohim and women of the earth. And this is important to understand, that for the Jewish people who have the book, who have the power to read and understanding, it's very powerful to understand that the Elohim you are praying every day without knowing who they are, now it's time to stop believing and try to understand. I will translate it in English in Shemuel 4:8. Oy lanu, mishap to us, say the Philistine. Who will save us out of the hands of this mighty Elohim? Mighty Elohim, plural again, Elohim hadirim, which is a powerful Elohim on the right translation. They are the same Elohim who struck the Egyptian with every plague in the desert. In the Yom Kippur, which is one of the most important days for all Jewish worldwide. During the prayers, we mention Kotbenu beSefer Chayim lemala, Elohim Chayim. What that means? Write us in the book of life above, in the skies, Elohim Chayim, another two plurals, meaning Elohim and Chayim are two plurals. The Elohim alive, because they are alive. There are many Elohim who are alive. They created us to their image and likeness. And they have been taken by God, by our ancestors. In Tehillim 3:95, Ki El Gadol Yahweh, Umelech Gadol al Kol HaElohim. The great is Yahweh, the great king of all the Elohim. So I will ask you a question now. How many Elohim are they? If he's the king of all the Elohim, it means there are many Elohim. Yes, Yahweh is the most important of all the Elohim. And he is the one that have sent his last messenger, Rael, the Mashiach to welcome them after building the third temple. And the existence of the state of Israel is based on that purpose. Because if Israel have taken back his land, given to our ancestors, given to Abraham, it's for one only reason: to build the third temple and welcome the Elohim. And as mentioned in the messages given to Rael on December 13, 1973, by Yahweh Elohim himself, the survival of the Israel and the reason why Israel took back his land is to welcome the Elohim back among their children, the people of Israel, as we are their direct descendants. It's up to you to accept or to refuse. But if Israel refuses for the 8th time already, Israel will lose his country, and it will be a new diaspora. Another citation, which is the cherry on the sundae, Yeshayahu 13:5. Baim me'eretz merchak mikseh hashamayim. They come from a far land, very far from the skies. Now, if I ask you a question, if nowadays, how do we call the people that come from a far land, very far from the skies? Aren't they extraterrestrials? So the Elohim, our creators, are an extraterrestrial civilization. And they want to come back now. You have many other citations in my lectures, and you can have them on request. But I'm mentioning once again, it's your sole responsibility now. Every Jew, every children of Israel is responsible for the survival of the state of Israel. And you, especially the rabbis, will be accused of crimes if Israel will lose his country. Because for the Elohim, that we all pray without knowing who they are, we have been taught that the Elohim were a God, and we have been praying them for centuries and for generations. Today, it's time to understand and stop to believe. The Mashiach Rael is already among us. He brings a message from the Elohim, and it's up to you now to give him the land where to build the third temple and recognize him as the last Elohim messenger. The Mashiach, long time that we are waiting for him, is already among us. So, it's up to you now, it's up to every Jew, and mostly to the responsibility of every rabbi to recognize Israel as the Mashiach and to help him build the third temple. Otherwise, Israel have no reason to exist. And I'm saying it again, no reason to exist. And if you don't wake up now, as the Prime Minister of Israel mentioned, you only have 6 years left. So you better move. Even if the state of Israel have to give a land to build a third temple, upon the Mashiach request, we have given the mandate to a couple of real estate agencies in Israel to find a piece of land that we will buy to build this third temple close to Jerusalem. But it will be on 2 conditions. First of all, that the city of Jerusalem will authorize the building of the third temple, of the construction. And the second one, that they will help us to obtain by the Israeli government a status of extraterritoriality, which is mandatory to build a third temple, as the Elohim don't want anyone to put their nose inside the third temple before their arrival. Today, for the first time, the plans of the third temple will be finally revealed by the real Jews.
Wow, thank you so much, Leon. So now we're going to move forward with our next guest, Daniel Turcotte, who for the past 12 years has been the Director General of the Third Temple Project. תודה רבה לליאון. האורח הבא שלנו הוא דניאל טורקוט. הוא מנהל את פרויקט בניית בית המקדש השלישי כבר ב-12 שנה האחרונות. Daniel, please go ahead.
Welcome everybody to this very important conference for the whole humanity, but especially for the Jewish people. Leon said something very important in his speech a few minutes ago. He talked about Israel who refused 7 times to give a land and the extraterritoriality to build the third temple. So seeing that the Messiah Rael decided to open the embassy project for all the countries all around the world, not only Israel, but all the countries. And this happened in 2000, the year 2000. And from that moment, we started to solicitate all the countries in the world to explain the embassy, the extraterrestrial embassy project. And there were many key moments on that process. And I would say that it's like a curve. At the beginning, it was kind of a flat curve 50 years ago. And as time passes and as the proofs of the existence of extraterrestrials, more and more sightings, people are more and more interested in the ancient astronaut theory, the crop circles that are more and more explicit and are giving us a message about the existence of extraterrestrials. The curve now tends to go up. It's going to be exponential. By soliciting the countries, of course, we had some answers from them. We talked to about 1,000 diplomats in the last years, especially since 2018. I would say that one of the key points is when the United Nations replied to our letter that we sent in 2019. On May 19, 2019, we received a letter from the United Nations in which they were telling us that we have to pursue our diplomatic actions by soliciting the UN ambassadors of all the countries in the world. What Leon just said is even more important, is that it's going to put a lot of pressure on Israel from now on, because they are not the only one in the race anymore to receive and to host the third temple. And my hope is that one country will accept to host the embassy project, the ET embassy project, and that all the spotlights will be put on Israel, because once again, something beautiful is happening. There's a momentum right now because of all the work that the team did, that Leon did, that many people supporting me did. And with all the team, we are very optimistic that very soon we will have the reply and the answers that we need to go ahead with the construction of the third temple.
All right, wow, thank you so much for that, Daniel. Okay, so moving forward with our next speaker, Claude Chevet, who is the chief architect and visual artist for the Third Temple project, who will reveal the actual blueprints of the project. אוקיי, תודה רבה לדניאל. האורח הבא שלנו קלוד שווה, הוא הארכיטקט הראשי לפרויקט בית המקדש השלישי. Claude, please go ahead.
Hi everybody, my name is Claude Chevet. I'm privileged to be the architect of the embassy. I'm originally from Switzerland. I've been working on this project since day one, 1990, when it first started. I'm talking about this project of the embassy. It will be explained later on. And I hope you're going to enjoy what I'm presenting you here. And not much to say more about me than for you to enjoy the work that we done. Thank you so much for watching. Here we can see how the building of an embassy will impact a site. In our particular case, it will generate a city around it. It's not every day that we're building an embassy to welcome an ET civilization to Earth. Can you imagine the financial impact having a city all around this embassy? It's going to be phenomenal. Wow, the society will completely switch and change our relationship with the universe. Blueprint, chapter 2. Here actually you can see a real blueprint. They are not blue, but black and white. 1,870 square meters going to be built on the slab foundation. With a south entrance, a welcoming room, an aseptic chamber, a conference room, an access, a residential area of 1,226 square meters, an access, a dining room of 146 square meters, and a north entrance. That we are able to find out thanks to the blueprint. Here, zooming in, we are in the reception area, the welcoming room, with all its dimension, its material descriptive, the stair level, the size, and the volume of the space. Here, zooming on the quarter area, the living space, you can see the size, the dimension, and the design of those apartments that are for the extraterrestrial visiting the planet. Here are the elevation, all the elevation for different angles with a section. And up to this day, Jacques Isaac came with this design well known, who has lasted more than 30 years up to today. The white donut, the way I call it, with the 3 ping pong ball in the front and in the back, joined by tunnels. And here I'm going to present you a more defined approach, an architectural approach of this design. To better understand blueprint, best to go directly in 3D. So here's a presentation. You can see in 3D the slab foundation of the building, the 1,870 square meter slab foundation. It is to me way much more clear, and I think it is the work of people to understand when you come in 3D. You can see better the level. Here are the vertical access and elevator. As you can see, there is 4 of them in the center livable space, the quarter of the extraterrestrial, because they need to access to their landing pad. Level 1 and level 2, to better understand the access, you have to admit, like when you see a rendering, it really allows you to understand better than a regular blueprint in terms of elevation, coloring, material, and with the bearing wall to better define the space. Here you can see the structure of the embassy. The structure looks like the DNA, like the shape of a DNA crossing with one another. It's going to be manufactured. The embassy fully completed, filled up with marble, glass, between the travertine structure. Random perspective, just for you to have a feel of what it is going to look like in and out. So here are some random perspective in and out. As you can see in those perspectives, you can already feel the materials that are used. Marble for the flooring, travertine for the structure. Also, you can see how open and how much light can come in with those giant windows, special windows. I think it's very enjoyable space, and I hope you do enjoy it as well. The objective was to give an harmony between the in and out penetration of light. I hope our visitor from space, coming from above, will enjoy their ride when the pedal will open for them.
Thank you, Claude, for these incredible images to help us visualize better this incredible project. All right, moving forward with our next speaker, Steve Goldie, who is a professional planner, who will share with us the different phases and steps of the Third Temple project. אוקיי, תודה רבה לקלוד ששיתף איתנו תמונות מדהימות מתוכניות בניית בית המקדש השלישי. אנחנו ממשיכים עכשיו עם סטיב גולדי, הוא מתכנן ערים מקצועי, הוא ישתף איתנו את השלבים השונים בתוכנית בניית בית המקדש השלישי. Alright, Steve, please go ahead.
An embassy for extraterrestrials. What an amazing project, and oh so much needed. But whatever the project, perhaps the more important the project, the more important the process. We have a well understood, well followed process that minimizes the likelihood of problems, that keeps costs to a minimum, and so on. And that process here, project definition, how do I fully understand the project? And then usually for a major project there's a scoping study to identify potential sites. Feasibility study of the most promising site, and that of course informs the due diligence and permits the site acquisition. Then the master plan, which is exactly what it says, get everything coordinated and make sure you have all the approvals. At the end of the master plan, you're usually breaking into design and construction packages, and you can see some typical such packages there. And then of course, if everything's scheduled correctly, you go into a commissioning and then operations phases. So the project definition. Did the project definition, talked to the team, got a good understanding of what is involved, read the references, came to some conclusions. No extraterrestrial will want to deal with the disunited and disjointed humankind. So until their ground rules, they probably won't deal with us. Millions of tourists will not fly thousands of kilometers to visit a fake embassy for extraterrestrials. It has to be a real embassy. And therefore the rules are just as important on that point. So we need the diplomatic issues to be resolved before we proceed to determine a site. No good choosing a site and then finding out that the diplomatic rules are not agreed to by that government. So we have to insert in this one the diplomatic initiative. So what's a diplomatic initiative involve? Importantly, there are two optional protocols which came in around the same time. One about the acquisition of nationality and one about compulsory settlement of disputes. They're optional protocols. So things that were agreed to by some parties but not all parties were taken out of the main convention and put in as optional protocols, and those nations that wanted to adopt them could, those that didn't have to. That optional protocol mechanism is very useful. So the diplomatic initiative for this project builds on the Vienna Convention by providing a third optional protocol, and we provisionally titled it the Optional Protocol Concerning Embassies for Extraterrestrials. That, of course, is a draft. The most important thing now is to have that discussed in diplomatic circles and adopted by at least a few countries. So there's a few ways we can proceed. One, a country can adopt the protocol unilaterally, witnessed of course by ambassadors from another couple of countries. 2 or more countries can sign the protocol and deposit a copy with the UN. The UN is just a depository there. A country can instruct its UN ambassador to request the United Nations Secretary General to work with the International Rallying Movement to present the protocol to the UN. A country could volunteer to host a convention to discuss the draft protocol. That's it, no obligation, just bring diplomats from various countries around the table to discuss the protocol. But if the protocol proceeds and is adopted, then it would become the protocol from that city concerning embassies for extraterrestrials. Or perhaps we missed something and there's a better mechanism, and of course we're happy to consider it. So the project definition's done, the diplomatic initiative is progressing. Before you can do the scoping study, the feasibility study and site acquisition, you need a concept master plan. You need some idea of what we're talking about. It's not the final plan, it's cartoonish a little bit, it's indicative, but you have to have it to be able to do those things, otherwise the consultants don't know what they're looking for. So go back to the source documents and look for the specifications. The key ones there, 1,000 meters from the edge of the building, so not from the center, but from the edge of the building, and a number of points of entry, utilities, the airspace, that's a diplomatic matter, and neutral territory, that's a diplomatic matter rather than a design matter. And so there we have a big round wall of 1,000 meters radius is a tricky thing to build, so 6 straight walls are much easier. Fitting that into a rectangle leaves some extra space, about 30 hectares in each corner for other uses. Particularly, of course, we need car parking, security area and so on, a conference centre, a scientific institute and so on, site accommodation for staff, and depending on what utilities available, various types of plant in order to be able to operate the whole thing. So, and of course a perimeter fence around the outside of the whole thing, and along those 2 side walls you'll see there's a need for a little track running down the side between the actual wall and the boundary fence. So all of that gives us those areas, essentially 5 square kilometres. So what's the benefits for the host country if they decide that they want to be considered for this project? First of all, there's direct investment. It's an approximate figure, of course. We can't know the exact figure till the master plan is complete, and even the feasibility study will still be an approximation. But we think around that figure for the actual investment to construct the whole facility. And then tourism during that whole process. And once it's built, a lot of emphasis on tourism, of course, because that will keep the whole thing operating. But after ET arrival, it will be the hottest destination of all time. There will be no place on the planet more important than this embassy after the arrival of the extraterrestrials. And that will justify building a new city nearby, much, much bigger than a single science institute. We call that city tentatively Scientopolis. So the big question, of course, is how much tourism? You can build an attraction, but will people come to it? And of course, this pre-ET arrival. So here you have cultural tourism's top 7 from before COVID, of course. And you can see the biggest of those by far is New Mexico, which includes Roswell. Roswell, of course, has famous ET connections, and it fuels a massive part of New Mexico's visitations. After that, you can see the others, Great Pyramids of Giza, half of what New Mexico gets. and then falling steadily below those. The two you can't see, the Taj Mahal is about 7.5 million, and Eiffel Tower is about 7 million. By the way, the UK gets about £1 billion worth of income from the visitors that just come for the crop circles. It's just crop circles. £1 billion worth of income. So what are our projections? Well, we think 3 million visitors a year would be quite modest. An average spend of about 800 per visitor is quite normal. So we're talking about a total spend of US 2.4 billion a year, which, as I said, is not that much more. It's less than double of what the UK gets just from crop circles, which of course are transient, only a few months of the year, and you don't know for sure where they will be, somewhere in the croplands, of course, in the middle of the country. After ET arrival, who knows? You won't be able to count it. They'll be building new airports.
Wow, thank you so much to Steve again, and to all our speakers, to Claude, to Daniel Turcotte and Leon Melul. Thank you to you all for being here today for this incredible project that's probably the most important in human history. So we saw that we have some steps ahead, but we're getting there slowly, but surely. That's the future welcoming the Elohim. So I will invite Leon for a few more words, and afterward we'll have a Q&A section where you'll be able to ask your questions, any questions about the embassy project. Leon, please.
Shalom, and thank you all for attending this wonderful lecture. Thank you, Daniel, and all your team for this great project that we will achieve very soon. I hope it will be in Israel. But anyways, if it's not in Israel, it will be elsewhere. But it will be a pity if the people of the book, the people of the Tanakh, the people who have all the proofs here, and I can show it to anyone, the Elohim are an extraterrestrial civilization and not a single God. And anytime, to any of you, I have all the citations whenever you want. I have many lectures that you can visualize, and they will be sent to you upon request. Now, unfortunately, if Israel doesn't accept, as I mentioned, with the very sad, with a lot of sadness and very a lot of sorrow, Israel will be destroyed because they have no reason to exist if they don't accept the Elohim, who are the ones they're praying for. This is an image that Sharon just presented, that we have, it have been given to the all rabbis and all prime ministers and members of the Israeli Knesset. Ech le'atzil et Israel, how to save Israel. Because now we're not requesting just this land. They should give it to us. They should give it to the last messenger of the Elohim, the Mashiach, right? Why? Because they're not doing us a favor if they give this land. The Mashiach and the people behind him are doing a favor to Israel to save the country of Israel, to save the Jewish people. And this is the main reason the Mashiach is among us, and to save the entire humanity. Because the way we're going right now, we have 99.5% chances to auto-destruct ourselves. So please, take the books, read them, understand, and consult. Don't just be narrow-minded and just reject what we're saying. Because either you like it or not, the Elohim are going to come back. And with you or without you, we're going to welcome them. So it's up to you. If you have any questions, I'm here for that, and Daniel is here for that. So we're waiting for your questions.
Thank you so much, Leon. Yes, please. Also, I'll put back the email. If you want to contact us after this conference, you can write to us at info@elohimembassy.org. You can go to the website, elohimembassy.org, and read more about this project and how important it is for humanity in a whole, but also for the state of Israel to survive. All right, so
For one, I would like just to add that because of the seventh time we have already asked for this land to a state of Israel and we have been neglected, the Mashiach have decided to mandate a real estate agency in Israel. And we have the copy of the mandate, if please you want to project it, that everybody will see we're not fooling around here. And we even have found the land where to build the embassy close to Jerusalem. Please, if someone have a copy of the mandate, can you please project it on the screen?
Okay, we'll let the technical team get it for one of the members, I believe, in Israel. They'll be able to show it on the screen soon.
We can continue with the questions and period, the period of questions and answers, and then when they will have it, we will show it on the screen.
All right, thank you so much, Leon. So you can see an option at the bottom of your screen to raise your hand. So if you have any questions to any of our speakers about the project, about anything you heard from our speakers, please use the raise hand button and make sure your camera is open, and we will open your microphone and you'll be able to unmute and ask your question. So any questions are welcome, and whatever is not asked today, you can contact us on the website as well, or the email address. We have a question from Pierre Charles. Hello, Pierre. You can unmute your mic now.
Do you listen to me? Do you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, my question is the following. In the press release that you just put on the Royal Press site, it says that in 2015, the protection of the Elohim was lost. Does it mean that if Israel accepts to build the embassy, they will regain the protection?
Well, I believe so. I believe so, because the minute Israel will accept, even if another country is willing to accept to welcome the embassy and to welcome the Elohim, Israel will have a very short time. I think it will be just 3 weeks to decide or to refuse. If they accept, of course, the protection of the Elohim will be upon them. And if they refuse, I mean, it will be another galut that we say in Hebrew, which means another diaspora. And the Jewish people, the state of Israel, will be lost forever for the Jewish people.
Yes, thank you so much, Leon and Charles, for the question. So if you have any other questions, please use the raise hand function and make sure your camera is open as well, so you'll be able to see who is asking a question. If you have issues with camera, you can also, or microphone, you can write your question in the chat, and our translators will be able to translate it as well. So you can either write on the chat or use the raise hand button. I see still more people entering.
If there are some rabbis hiding behind the camera, don't be afraid. We don't going to hurt you.
All right, so the camera is on. Thank you so much. You're able to unmute if you can just say your name. I'm not sure if what we see is your name.
My name is Joseph. It's nice to meet you all. And I would like to ask you, if the Moshiach is here, when can we expect to see him? If he's among us right now.
I couldn't understand. Sorry.
When can we expect to see the Elohim, the return?
Is the question addressed to myself or to Mr. Daniel Turcotte?
It's to you, sir.
Okay. What was the question? I couldn't hear it.
Approximately
when can we... Go ahead, ma'am.
If I understood well, it's when do we expect the return of the Elohim to the embassy?
Between 2025 and 2035, as mentioned in the video of the embassy that Mr. Turcotte have provided us with so much professionalism.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Leon? Anybody have a question? Okay, there's...
Ray, raise hand.
Maybe to clarify, I think someone clarified to me that he also asked when can we meet the Mashiach, the Messiah, right?
Well, to meet the Mashiach Rael, first of all, it will not be that easy because he's not in North America, actually. You need to talk to me and to Daniel, and then we will arrange a meeting according to your interest.
We will also have an event next year in December.
December 13th.
The Messiah will be there. December
2023, we will all be there.
Yeah, in Okinawa, Japan. So you'll be able to see him there for sure. All right, we have Ray. You can
Ray, please.
Your words were so powerful. Thank you so much, Leon. So I'm not sure if I understood well. If the Israel said yes, they want to give a land near Jerusalem, would they really give it, or do we have to buy it? If they don't want to give it and they want to sell it, would we buy it, or would we say no?
First of all, as written in the messages, Ray, the state of Israel must give the piece of land requested by the Elohim to build up the third temple, that the Mashiach could welcome them according to the scripts. Now, if they don't want to give it, we have already the land. We didn't buy it. We are in negotiation to buy this piece of land, but the state of Israel must give the extraterritoriality that we will be able, that the Elohim want to make sure nobody will put their nose into their business before their arrival. Because as every embassy worldwide, when a government asks for an embassy or a territory or a building where they have their own embassy, the country that welcomes this embassy is not allowed to go in just without permission, because this piece of land or this territory or this building belongs to the country that have the embassy. And for the Elohim is the same. If we don't have this piece of land with extraterritoriality, the Elohim will not allow anyone to go in, and we cannot build the embassy without that. The embassy or the third temple, call it, for Jewish people is third temple, for others is the embassy. And to welcome them, they want to be assured that nobody will go in to harm them or whatever. Because as they mentioned, we don't want to kill any of our children. And they're not criminals. They don't want to hurt people, but I mean, they're able to move a solar system. So imagine with 25,000 years of technology ahead of ours, I mean, we have no idea what they can do. They can make us maybe disappear just like that, the whole planet, if they want. But this is not what they want. They want to come in peace. And they want our respect and our love for that. But in case, as to continue with that, in case the state of Israel doesn't want to give the land, we have found the land. We have found the measurements that the land we need. It's close to Jerusalem. And if the state of Israel will give us the extraterritoriality and they don't want to give the land, we will buy it, no problem. We have the money for that and we have the funds for that already.
Thank you. All right, we have a couple of questions about if there's what's the significance, if there is one, to Okinawa, Japan, and when is he going to visit the American continent?
It was in the American continent for many years. If you have any questions for him, we will be happy to forward him with that. I don't know when he will come back to the American continent. He decided to live in Japan for the right time at the moment. He's staying there. So we go to visit him. He's not willing to come back around here for now, but maybe one day. The only thing he's waiting for is to go to Israel, but he is not allowed by the Elohim to go to Israel until they give us the extraterritoriality and they recognize him as the Mashiach and they welcome him according to his rank.
All right, we have another question from Amir asking, well, he thinks that we will have a world war between 2025 and 2027. So does it matter even to save Israel, Palestine, if there will be a world war?
Well, as I mentioned, Israel, if they want to be saved and they want to save themselves, they have to accept the request of the Elohim. That's the only way and the only reason Israel will be saved. Otherwise, they have no reason for it to exist. During centuries and centuries, Israel have lost their territory. The messengers, all the prophets that were sent by the Elohim, they were jailed or killed by the state of Israel. It was not the state of Israel, by the kingdoms, by the rulers, by the rabbis. They were all jailed or killed, all the prophets. And there were over 40. So, the Elohim are sending the last messenger, the Rael, now. If they don't accept him, they don't listen to him, they don't want to give him the territory to welcome the Elohim in the third temple that they want to build according to their image, there will not be a third temple and the Israel will not stay there. I mean, it's not the land, that land that have been promised to Abraham will not be given to Israel just for the beauty of Israel or for the state of Israel. And even if the Israeli army is very powerful, it's nothing compared to what could happen.
Thank you. Also, Daniel Turcot is here with us, the director of the Embassy Project. If you have any comments about any of the questions, please, you can just unmute yourself and go ahead. And we have also we have the agency contract. So, Andre, you have the access to share. So you can share your screen and show the the real estate agency contract that Leon was mentioning earlier, because they already found a land, so it's actually happening and in progress. So okay, so it's in Hebrew. So
This is the mandate, and we have given to the real estate agency. We remove his name and the location and all that because they want that to remain confidential. They don't want to have any pressure from the government or to be disturbed by political leaders. They just want to keep it secret for now. But as I said, even if we found the land and we're able to buy it, the state of Israel must give this piece of land to build a third temple. Otherwise, Israel have no reason to exist.
yeah, this contract was signed just a couple of weeks ago, so it's happening right now. They're working very hard to make this dream reality.
It was signed on the 31st of August, 2022, as you can see on the date.
Yeah, so there's a power of attorney here for the real estate company to find a project land.
And they have found it already. And we have even the picture of the area, which is Yehuda B'Shomron, where the land is. So if you have it and you want to show it, that's fine. If not, it's okay.
Andre, if you have it, you can share. I'm not sure if you have it at the moment, but Leon, I believe you mentioned it's close to Jerusalem, right?
Yes, it's close to Jerusalem. As you know, it's the area of Yehuda B'Shomron. It's Jerusalem, I think, but it's Israeli territory for now. But maybe soon it will be Palestinian territory if Israel doesn't accept.
And we have also a question, is it safe to go to Israel right now with what people see on the news? Choosing this place for an embassy can cause some concern for people who have this idea about Israel to be a dangerous place to visit.
I don't think it's dangerous for now, but when the big balagan, as we say in Hebrew, the big problems will start, you better don't go there because everything is going to collapse. And it's written that no one stone will stay on top of the other. So we're going to try to save them once again, but if they don't want to be saved, it's up to them. It's their problem, not ours. We will continue, and the embassy, we're going to build it, and the embassy is going to be done, and we're going to welcome the Elohim, I say, with or without the people of Israel, unfortunately. That's another chance that we're giving them. But this will be the last one, as in the next couple of years, in the next 6 years probably, there will not be more in the state of Israel. Yes, I see someone with a raised hand here since a couple of minutes.
Elvis. So that would be a question in Spanish.
In Spanish, okay, I can answer, no problem.
Oh yeah, Leon, yes. Forgot
Or
you.
Daniel.
You can translate, thank you. Sí,
Ok,
Elvis.
listo. Mi amado León, o para León o para Daniel, la pregunta es, ¿ha habido otro país que ha dado respuesta positiva a la construcción de la embajada? ¿Otro país fuera de Israel?
Eso Daniel te va a contestar.
Bueno, la respuesta muy corta es no.
Very short.
Todavía no.
Pero hay muchos proyectos e intereses.
Sí. Yeah, but we are discussing with a number of countries right now, and I can tell you it's going fine. So I think that's going to put very, very soon, that's going to put a lot of pressure on Israel.
Yes.
Thank you, Daniel. There's another question in Hebrew. In case Israel will refuse to build the embassy there, those who live in Israel, will they be receiving some kind of warning where they need to leave in advance?
Yes, they will, because we have our Israeli team guided by our national guide, Kobi Drori, that will inform the Israeli population to leave the country before it's too late.
There's another question about the state of Israel. Will the Elohim destroy the state of Israel, or how will it be destroyed?
The Elohim don't need to destroy the state of Israel. They can destroy the whole planet just by clicking, like they destroyed the whole humanity when at the time of the flood. They don't need to destroy. They just, by removing the protection, Israel can be invaded by all the countries around it, and Israel will disappear automatically. So people will run out of there very fast. And no matter what, they think that they have the most powerful and they are the smartest one, and they have the greatest army. That's nothing.
Yeah, it's not a threat to destroy the country. It's a warning.
No, Israel will not. The Elohim don't need to trade. They just need to remove the protection they have given to Israel. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What is the role of the Israelis in the upcoming events? What are the Israelis expected to do?
What they asked to Israel, spread the Elohim messages that make people understand. And the second one is to build the embassy, if not in Jerusalem or close to Jerusalem, elsewhere, and the Elohim will come. That's our main goal. And most of it now, because of all the threats, all the wars, all the conflicts around the world, to meditate for peace. To meditate for peace at least once a day. Think about love, think about peace, to influence this planet, not to auto-destruct ourselves, because we're very close.
Right, I believe we're close to the closing of this event, but you can still contact us for any further questions, or if any future questions will come up and you want to contact us, you can find us on Facebook, on the website. I'll just share one more time the address. Do any of our speakers have anything else to add before we close?
Daniel Sol raised his hand.
Daniel Sol. Okay, Daniel.
Maybe you know this person.
Maybe. Last question. Let's go ahead, Daniel. You can unmute.
Hi, everyone. You hear me?
Yes, we hear. We do.
Sorry, I have some notification. You hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. My question, it was about, it's nice to have this opportunity to build in Israel or other countries. Not important for me, but my big question for me is what all the Israelis have to do at that moment to go there to build, or it will be just a private company they will build this? What our responsibility at that moment when they start to build this embassy?
That I think the best person to answer this question is Daniel, who is the responsible and planetary responsible and the leader of this project to build, to manage the building, and with his team. Not my, I don't have any answer on that. It's Daniel, the best person.
Yeah, well, I would like to have an answer, but I think that the answer will come when we know where the embassy will be built. And what will be the rules and the laws according to who can work in that country or not. And this at this moment, I don't know. But you know, when it's time to build, I don't worry. I'm sure that everybody will be able to get involved. And I know, Danielle, you are very gifted and talented for construction. So for sure, we're going to need everybody. I'm sure about that. But as for who will build it exactly, I don't know. I don't know yet. But good question.
Raise his hand here. I think is Ixiel. No, it's not Ixiel. Maybe. Yes.
Yes, you can go ahead and mute.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Can you hear? Can I speak now?
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I came in a bit late because I had something I was doing. I'm calling from Abuja, Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure maybe, I don't know whether there are other people from my region on this issue. This is a very sensitive and very most important issue that many people don't talk about or don't like talking about. But here, some of us are well awakened concerning extraterrestrial intelligence, because my people have been aware of these people for a long time. If you've been doing research in Africa, you will know that, yes, there have been a lot of things happening over here. So my concern is for my people. I'm a Nigerian, and a lot of Nigerians would not want to talk about it, not because they're not aware, but it's a very strange topic for people. So I want to know, how can I get more involved with this? And if it's possible, if the embassy's location is explained to us, we may be more proactive because of the kind of people we are over here. I come from a considerably above average family here. And so I have access to certain kind of resources. So even though we like to stay very quiet, we want to be able to talk to the people who are in charge of this project so that maybe we can discuss further with things like concept, maybe possible talk about things like funding. I don't know what kind of funding is being discussed here, because this is something, the Elohim is not what people like to talk about, because most people find it a very strange concept. I am a poet. I may be considered not normal in my area where I come from here in Nigeria, because of the kind of person I have become or who I am. But I love what I'm seeing. That's why I'm here in the first place, because I know what it is. At least my parents gave us the essential illumination as kids growing up. So thank you very much. I'd like someone to send me an email so we can continue discussing quietly about this for what is coming.
Let me answer you first. I thank you for your question. And this is very, very dear to our heart, especially coming from Africa, as the name of, for the Black people who wear the name Kushi in Hebrew, the name of Yahweh is in the name of Kushi as well. And it's very important because the African people are very dear to the heart of the Elohim. And if you please put your email address on the chat, we will have the Continental Guide for Africa, Mr. Tai, that will contact you with pleasure. And I am sure if the embassy will be built in Africa, it will be the best place to welcome the Elohim. If not Israel, Africa, we're coming there. So please leave your name and email address on the chat, and Mr. Tai, who is in charge of the entire Africa, will contact you with pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. You can also contact us on the email. We will show again at the end of the conference. I believe, Kobe, did you have a question? Oh, no, okay, it was a mistake. All right. So are there any other questions before we close? Let's see. Okay, we have the email. Thank you so much. So we will forward your email address.
Has the person from Nigeria left his information?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great.
It.
Thank you. If there are not more answers, I think we should close this lecture. And I will say again, all Jews should be concerned by Israel. All Jews should be concerned by the survival or the loss of the state of Israel. And all Jews are responsible for its survival or for its end. And if there is an end, because the Israeli government refused and the rabbis refuse, because the Jewish people are considered by Yahweh the people with the stiff neck. If you have the stiff neck, you will lose your country, and Jews will not be anymore the Jewish people, the chosen people, unfortunately. So today, the Iranians, the one that follow the last messenger of the Elohim, the ones that follow the Mashiach, the ones who believe in him and in the message the Elohim give him, they are the ones who are the chosen people today. So Israel, you're not doing us any favor by giving us the land. We are trying to save you. And if you want to be saved, too bad for you. Sorry to say that. Shalom, and I wish you all the best in this coming year, which is the last of the Shemitah this year. But if you don't accept this request from the Mashiach and the Elohim, there will not be another Shemitah in the next 7 years, because you will disappear. And listen well to this. The state of Israel will disappear if you don't accept the request of the Elohim by the mouth of the last prophet and the Mashiach Rael. Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you so much, dear Leon, for organizing such important event. Thank you, Daniel Turcot, Claude Chauvet, and Steve Goldie for the incredible dedication to me, the most important project for humanity, and I'm sure to all of you too. Thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. And please contact us if you have any questions. I saw a couple of emails in the chat that I saved, so we may contact you as well. So I wish you all a beautiful day, beautiful evening, wherever you are. And let's keep in touch. Please connect with us on social media, on the website. And until we welcome the Elohim back on earth. Thank you.